Hello and welcome to Ward Talk, CTN's look at the political scene in Ann Arbor. I'm your host, Bonnie Gabowitz. We'll be discussing issues and solutions with the City Council members from our 5 wards each month. Joining us this month is our special guest, Mayor Christopher Taylor. Welcome, Mayor Taylor.
My pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Take a look back on, what our goals were for this past year, what was accomplished, what still needs to be accomplished, and then we can look to the future to see what the city's goals are for the next year.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, it's been a pretty exciting year on a lot of different levels. We've done a lot of good work on zoning. We've got a lot of good work in connection with our 820 plan. Our 820 plan is, of course, our goal to achieve community-wide carbon neutrality by 2030, accomplished in a just and equitable manner.
Right.
And the voters passed a millage in November, giving that program some secured funding for decades. And
well, let's just talk about that, because there are a lot of parts to that.
Absolutely.
And I know there was a pilot program dealing with looking at the 820 and how it can, work better. And I think that pilot program is over, correct?
Well, we've got a whole number of different programs rolling through 820 now. One which we're continuing on, we're particularly excited about, is our Solarize program.
Right.
That's an opportunity for folks to gather with neighbors and concierged by city staff to work with identified solar installers to help people understand what their solar options are, what their storage options are, and to provide them accelerated permitting and most importantly, perhaps discounts and in a secure and safe place to ask and have questions answered.
Right.
And it's a great way to roll out rooftop solar in the city. And
I understand there's consideration of allowing installing the solar panels in the front yard with certain restrictions, because before it was only the backyard where it couldn't be seen that was allowed.
That's exactly right.
So tell me about that.
Sure. Well, that has yet to be finalized, but we just at City Council yesterday passed at our first reading a plan which would alter the zoning throughout the city to enable the installation of more ground solar. Of course, we know that many people have the ability to do that. We want to make sure that we unleash that.
Right. And how many times does the City Council meet to consider this kind of an option?
Sure.
I know there are stages of, working through before the decision is made.
So zoning changes come initially to the Planning Commission, and so the Planning Commission will vote on them, I think, twice before it goes from the Planning Commission to the City Council.
And that's how they can work out the details of kind of fine-tuning it?
That's exactly right. Folks on Planning Commission are neighborhood and local volunteers who are most typically experts in their fields, and whether it's landscape architecture or urban planning or otherwise, it's a great place for experts to dig in and get to the nitty-gritty. Once it comes from Planning Commission, ordinances go to City Council, where there are 2 readings at separate meetings, so that members of the public at the second reading, if the first effort passes, will have an opportunity to engage with the council and talk to them about their hopes and dreams with respect to the proposal.
Okay, so that's in the making.
Yeah.
I understand in terms of the Home Energy Advisor Program, you're looking at having a 3-year contract that would be a cost of $900,000 with a particular company to help with all the solar work.
That's right, and not just exclusively solar. That was something else that we did at our council meeting yesterday. We passed 2 resolutions related to, approved 2 contracts related to 820. The first, which will give us an energy concierge with respect to rebates. Right now, of course, with the Biden-Harris Inflation Reduction Act, folks can get up to 30% tax credit on energy efficiency, storage related.
So that's federal.
That's federal. That's correct. But we at the city, because of the voters' passage of the Community Climate Action Millage, are going to layer rebates on top of that. Further, it's kind of it's new ground for folks. Homeowners don't quite know what their options are, how it could work with existing infrastructure. Installers sometimes have a little bit of learning curve. And so what we're doing with our Energy Concierge program is we are providing a trusted advisor to residents trusted advisor to installers and contractors to enable them to understand their energy efficiency options, know about the federal rebates through the Inflation Reduction Act, understand about the city rebates through our Community Climate Action Millage, and hopefully take this next step.
Right, and I would think it would be very confusing because this is really a whole new field of, you know, people have their roofs replaced, but they, you know, they haven't in the past had solar panels put on.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
I know one friend I have who had it done is very happy with it, but it was a complicated process.
It sure can be, and that's one of the great things about the 820 plan, pardon me, about the 82 Solarized plan, because it does provide both neighbors talking to neighbors, but also a staff member who's there who understands the installation process, who understands the selected contractor, and can really help advise residents about what's best for them.
Okay, and at what point are we at with this program? Is it already in place, or is there something that still has to be
Solarize has been up and running for a number of years now, and we've been catalyzed the installation of over 4 megawatts of solar on roofs throughout the city of Ann Arbor. The city of Ann Arbor has over 4% of roofs in the city of Ann Arbor have solar, which exceeds the national average. And I will say that the national average includes, you know, Arizona and California and Florida. So it's really, you know, for industrial states, for Midwest states, we're something else here.
Yeah.
But that program has been underway for years and is constantly accelerating because it's so popular.
Yeah.
We also, with the Energy Concierge program and an energy efficiency audit program, which was just passed at City Council, which is going to provide an opportunity for residents to understand and get an energy assessment for their home, what their particular home can do, how it can be modified in its most efficient manner to improve efficiency. Those are programs which are going to support the 820 goal that are just been implemented by City Council.
And I would think that that's significant because Ann Arbor has so many wonderful old structures.
Yeah, that's right.
That, you know, we have a lot of, we have new construction, but some of these homes are so old that to update it to this point would be
daunting.
very productive.
Daunting. Yeah. Oh, yes. It certainly would be incredibly productive because energy efficiency is the low-hanging fruit. That's what, you know, those should be and indeed are in this context our first dollars to reduce our carbon footprint. And with the Energy Home Assessment Program, you know, this is a great opportunity for residents as we roll it out in the next couple. A great opportunity for residents to get a clear, you know, personalized, customized assessment of what can be done in their particular home to save money, be more comfortable, and reduce their carbon.
So is there no expense in terms of the property owner who goes and asks for this kinds of advice? There's no money that changes hands on their part?
That particularity is unknown to me, but certainly, you know, we're definitely going to be, you know, focused on reducing costs wherever we can, as we can. I know that we're focusing on lower income residents, and I do believe that in those cases it is on the House. We know that this is something that we are, well, we're just incredibly excited about the opportunity because it will give folks the ability to understand what they can do in their home, and then with our concierge program, how they can take advantage of the Biden-Harris administration's Inflation Reduction Act credits of up to 30%, and then to the available city discounts, whether directly through millages or through bulk buys, which is something else that we're excited about moving forward with.
And I want to clarify something, because if I understand it correctly, the city cannot dictate to home builders that they must have only electricity. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Let's clarify that you're not saying people aren't allowed to have gas appliances in their house.
Absolutely not.
So what's the framework?
Sure. Well, in Michigan, the building code is a state-driven function, and municipalities are at this point unable to amend the building code, unable to make it stronger or more efficient in this way, or safer in that way, or different in this way. And so the building code, as it currently exists, is what we receive from the state. And so by extension, we are unable to obligate contractors and developers to provide for electrification in their buildings. We do what we can to incentivize it, to work with them where we can, as we can, to encourage developers to install electric appliances to make their whatever properties they're putting together conversion ready if we can't get it on the upfront. And in many respects, we've been successful. It's really an important effort.
Right,
Yeah.
okay. And I know a lot of people who, the appliances can last a long time
Yep,
if they're good
sure.
quality. So this is something that people don't have to change right away, but it sounds like people are encouraged to consider alternate energy type appliances when they go to replace their appliances.
That's exactly right. You know, we will be rolling out bulk buys to help people obtain discounts, and also with our, you know, like our energy efficiency programs, letting them know what their options are.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
And when we get back from the break,
Yeah.
we have a couple more things to talk about
Sure.
this past year, and then we'll look into the future of what we see in the future.
What's gonna come next?
We'll look in our crystal ball.
All right, solid.
Okay. We want to hear from you, so please email us questions at ctn@a2gov.org or tweet us at #CTN in Arbor. We're taking a break now, and we'll be coming back with more from Ward Talk. Hello again. This is Bonnie Gabowitz, host for Ward Talk. We're talking with Mayor Christopher Taylor this end of 2023. And we've been talking about what all these new programs and what we're trying to do with the energy problem.
Yeah.
And last night you had a meeting in which there was a final vote. I just want to mention, because there was a lot of discussion about, in terms of our environment, the quality of our environment, what leaf blowers, gas leaf blowers are doing to our environment. And I understand at last night's meeting there was quite a few people came forth to speak their opinions about the pluses and minuses.
Yeah.
There being a choice of, instead of gas blowers, there is such a thing as electric blowers,
absolutely.
which I didn't even know about.
Yeah, I've got one. Yeah.
And I don't pay much attention to it, except that I know they're very noisy. But it was kind of, the vote went through, but I was impressed that you did have a plan of not just immediately changing everything and saying no leaf blowers. There's an actual plan of gradual change. It has a 4-year plan, so it's not like next spring
Yeah.
there can't be any blowers. So if you could talk about between now and the next 4 years, what is happening that's different?
Yeah, well, I mean, this is, you know, we do all sorts of different things at the city, and this is just one of them. It's not a lead initiative, but we did pass a ban on gas leaf blowers that will go into final effect over the course of 4 years. You know, basically, we will encourage people, and we'll have our own bulk buy programs and the like to transition from gas leaf blowers to electric leaf blowers, which are better for the environment. They're less noisy, and also, by extension, they reduce pollution, and it's better for the actual person involved. So it's something I'm glad we're moving forward. It's not a lead initiative, but it's one of the many things that we're doing to make our city, improve our carbon footprint and make it a healthier and better place to live.
And I understand this is something that cities around the country are looking at. It's not a new
Yeah,
new
one
approach.
of the things in municipal government is, like, sometimes you come up with a new idea, but other times you steal a good idea. And so we certainly try to look around at our sister cities and any jurisdiction up and down the line that has a good idea that will have the opportunity to work in Arbor. We're excited to have it work here.
Okay, and there's been a lot of talk about the properties that we have in Ann Arbor that are taxable, and the fact that the university has bought up some land, and so that now that taxable real estate is no longer taxable because it's associated with the university,
Yeah.
which is nonprofit. So that certainly is a dilemma for the city. So
Yeah.
how do you look at this, and what are the ways we can address this going into the future?
Yeah. Well, the university certainly has the ability to purchase a great deal of property throughout the city. And they have exercised that ability on occasion. And what that has done over the course of time is it has reduced our tax base. Right now, pretty much about $2 million a year is lost, if you will, due to recent, over the past several years, university-related purchases. At the same time, I think it must be recognized that the University of Michigan is an outstanding and incredibly valuable resource both for Ann Arbor, Michigan, the country, and the world. And so we don't begrudge the activity of the University of Michigan. They don't purchase land unmindfully. I think they understand that the tax base is important to the city of Ann Arbor, and the success of Ann Arbor is important to the university. But nevertheless, they do it on occasion. And so, we talk with them about it and encourage them to find other solutions, and where they can, they do. I will say that the tax base is an incredibly important issue for us to focus on outside of the university. We, as a result of intentionality with the Headley Amendment and Proposal A, Republican-led initiatives back from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, the revenue available to municipal governments reduces over time, and we are constrained in this regard. And so successful cities in Michigan and indeed elsewhere have to grow so that their tax base, their ability to pay for resources that current community members enjoy, not to mention future community members, their ability has to continue on even in the face of inflation. And so our revenue needs to increase, and our revenue will not increase if we don't have a focus on tax base improvement. We can do that through zoning changes, and we do have some zoning changes that I'm particularly excited about on transit corridors. But we can also do that through improving our development processes. In the city of Ann Arbor, our bureaucracy for developments coming in is substantial, and it's not particularly effective. We do have a lot of requirements. Some of those requirements are outstanding, and we're never going to walk away from them. But other requirements are a little bit of make work and double work. And I think it's important for us to find that right balance.
And some of those requirements could actually create more interest in the higher end builders, depending on what your requirements are. In other words, we want to make builders of, let's say, less expensive housing, for instance, want to build, but they have to meet all the requirements of the city. So is there room for change to attract more of a variety of builders other than the high end?
Absolutely, and I think that that's what making our processes more efficient, less costly to the property owner. I think that will be the end result. Right now, you have to be very, very well capitalized, have a lot of risk tolerance, or rather have a lot of risk tolerance in order to build in Ann Arbor because our processes are so difficult. What that does is it prevents the smaller shops from taking action. Result is that larger national groups or regional groups come in rather than local groups. And I think what we have the ability to find a good balance in that regard, and I'm excited about that inquiry.
So with these expansion of the construction going on, is the city looking at expanding your base of employees who have to process all of the construction requirements, such as the permits? I know you only have a limited staff to do this. So are you looking to maybe increase your base of employees?
Well, we know right now, well, bottom line, let's talk a little bit about city staff.
Okay.
City staff is outstanding. Everything we do at the city, you'll have the mayor comes in, council members will talk about, we do this, we do that. We don't do anything. The staff does everything, and we are so incredibly grateful up and down the
forgotten
line.
heroes.
I know, it's so true. But we do, we have a very lean staff. We have a very lean staff pretty much up and down the line in each of our departments. And building and planning is no exception. As we need to grow in our city, as our TC1 corridors need to expand, as the university, which has a very ambitious growth plan, as they expand, they do need to work some with the city. The schools too have an ambitious plan with their most recent $1 billion bond. we do need help. We do need resources so that we are able to process plans as they come in, work with property owners, work with residents, work with other city departments to make sure that the buildings that are built in the city are as energy efficient as possible, as safe as possible, and are beautiful as possible.
Okay. Do we have any government, city-owned properties that are still being considered for affordable housing?
Oh, absolutely. Right now, we just recently put an RFP out for a development partner at 350 Fifth, which is the old Y lot. That's a place where we are looking and committed to building 100+ units of affordable housing with additional housing at market rates in order to help support that structure. We also will have affordable housing coming in at the 4th and Catherine lot and other parcels throughout the downtown and throughout the city. We have further the ability to expand and encourage the building of affordable housing on our transit corridors.
Right. That's what you call TC1.
Exactly, TC1.
Yeah, that was on my list.
Yeah. So TC1 is essentially an upzoning of transit corridors to enable and encourage multifamily, multi-use, mixed-use developments of particularly where it's not very close to existing residents of substantial density.
Yeah, if you could give an example of what neighborhood would be the TC1
Sure.
corridor.
So we've already accomplished TC1 up and down State and Eisenhower, also along much of Stadium and Maple. Just at this past meeting, we at first reading passed a zoning change for TC1 on Plymouth Road, and ultimately too we'll be considering TC1 on Washtenaw at least. This will give the ability to build dense properties there, mixed use with commercial and residential, hopefully enabling people who work in Ann Arbor to be able to live in Ann Arbor and to get in and out of their home and their places of employment more easily without a car.
So here's my question.
Yeah.
With all of these possibilities of building housing and creating more neighborhoods, how do you balance that with the infrastructure that we have, the roads? We have these wonderful streets and roads, and yet they weren't necessarily built for dense populations. Plus, I see that many streets have been reconfigured for bike lanes, which narrows, which has been purposely narrowing, maybe from a 2-lane street to a 1-lane street. So how do you work that out with people being able to travel easily, not have, dense traffic?
Yeah, well, it is, these things.
I know you had roundabouts that, put in.
That's true, and those certainly do help at intersection points, and it's all balancing, right? With respect to road diets and the introduction of bike lanes, our goal is to make our transit system safe and effective for all users, not just cars. We want cars, of course, to be able to get in and out where they need to, but they also need to do that safely, both with respect to cars v. cars, cars v. pedestrians, cars v. bikes. And so the narrowing of lanes does reduce speed, which is something we hear time and time again that residents want. The introduction of safe and protected bike lanes, which has really gotten off the ground and is going to accelerate next year, something about which I'm really excited, will give us the ability to, more people who wish it to commute by bike in all weathers.
We Michiganders are very hardy.
We're a flinty group of people.
So what if it's winter?
Who cares? That's right. I just myself, I'm not a particularly outdoorsy person, but I did just get an electric bike and have started commuting by electric bike, and it's been excellent. And I feel safe and comfortable doing so on Packard and on Division with our protected bikeway and other areas of our community.
Yeah. Okay. And I wanted to ask you a little bit about, there's been a lot of talk about the problems we've had with the electrical outages.
Sure.
And is DTE doing enough? And I know DTE has been sending out a lot of messages about how they're clearing trees and they're making it better. So the city already has a contract with DTE. So right now nothing's happening that's different, right?
The city has DTE by law has a perpetual franchise.
Oh.
So the DTE, as a matter of law, has a perpetual franchise, the right to distribute power in the city of Ann Arbor. We do have, by law, the ability to essentially seize the DTE's distribution infrastructure at a price and then run our own municipal utility. We also have the ability to start something called a sustainable energy utility. Which overlays DTE's existing infrastructure and would give residents the ability to create power on their own with solar and otherwise, create a series of microgrids so that little neighborhood pockets would then have clean, local, reliable, and resilient power. The question of whether or not we move forward with municipalization is a complex one. Certainly DTE's infrastructure is substandard and their service has not been good. They have intentionally deferred maintenance to the detriment of users and customers. The using profits for distribution to shareholders, for lobbyists and so forth, takes away dollars that could and ought to be used to provide people with clean, reliable, resilient power. Whether or not we municipalize is an incredibly complex question. We are moving forward with that inquiry, and I'd expect there to be some more earnest and conversations about that in the months to come.
Okay, so we'll be looking next year into following that topic.
That's right.
Okay, and I just want to give you a minute or two just to give me your personal take on what the year has been like and what you look forward to next year.
Yeah, well, I think it's I think in balance it's been a good year for the city. Of course we're still coming out of COVID in our own way. The nation and indeed the world has a great deal of strife within it. And Ann Arbor is not immune to those feelings, is not immune to those experiences. People here with history and family and humanity, we see the pain among us. And so it is a bit of a sober time, but it's also, I think, a time in Ann Arbor of incredible optimism. We have a city council and a city staff and a community that is excited about what municipal government can do, excited about, the basic services that we provide every day, like the streets and the water and the parks and the police and the fire, and about doing all we can to make those better, but with particularity too, doing what we can to improve quality of life for everyone. We, of course, with our 820 plan, it's a visionary, disruptive path to achieve community-wide carbon neutrality, and people are so behind it. 70% voted to tax themselves for this effort. Working on affordable housing, we know that it's incredibly crucial that we expand affordable housing and affordability in the city so that we can promote equity and improve diversity in Ann Arbor. 70% in 2020 voted in favor of that millage, and we're still moving forward with that. Transportation is incredibly important, improving the AAATA, which also just received the ratification from the voters, expanding the bike lanes and the like throughout the city. It's an exciting time. We continue to act in the presence of constraints from the state government, but with the state government now that's focused more on governance than grievance, I think there's just, and a council, crucially, that's more focused on governance and grievance. I think there's a lot that we can still accomplish.
Well, I want to thank you for this visit.
Sure,
and
my pleasure.
We're ending on a rather positive but realistic look.
We strive.
So I want to wish you a Happy New Year.
You as well. Thanks for having me.
Remember to join us for a new episode every month. We want to hear from you, so please email us at ctn@a2gov.org. Attention, Ward Talk. You can also follow CTN and ask questions on Twitter at twitter.com/CTN Ann Arbor. We'll make sure to include your questions. To watch this and all of CTN's other programming, head online to youtube.com/CTN Ann Arbor. For Ward Talk, I'm Bonnie Gabowitz. Until next month.